Welcome back, and joining me for a closer look at what's playing itself out in the market scene is Craig Pheiffer from Sasfin Wealth. Thank you so much for your time, Craig. It is the first day of trading for October. What set the tone, and a rather sour one, for the start of the month?
I think as we've seen over the last couple of months, years even, it's really been a story of where interest rates are going. We spent a lot of time debating when interest rates would actually start turning lower. And now we start, now that that's happened, we saw the Fed do the 50 basis points last month. The ECB did their second rate cut last month, and we joined the party as well. And as you highlighted earlier, Powell was in the media, talking about maybe, at the next, they've got two meetings left of the FOMC, so maybe 25 basis points at each. So, pouring a bit of cold water on expectations of another 50 basis points. So that maybe soured things a little. But you also had Christine Lagarde also talking, from an ECB point of view, that, inflation does look to be under control, and, maybe even going to overshoot the target. We might see a bit of a slowing economy there. So, another rate cut from the ECB in October, definitely on the cards, or, there's definitely potential for that. And I think with taking those two comments into account, so potentially just another 25 from the Fed, but another 25 from the ECB, I think that put the dollar on the back foot. And that obviously, or not on the back foot, on the front foot, sorry.
Yes.
And that put the rand on the back foot today. So I think just all of that, and still a bit of afterglow of that Chinese stimulus, helping the commodity prices a bit higher. And it was only the commodities that really shaped up today. Out of broadly across the market.
Literally, especially gold. And actually, looking at gold, is it all tied to the heightened geopolitical tensions that seem to be back on investors' radar at this point?
I think that's part of the story, but I think generally also lower interest rates is a story. The lower carrying costs of gold, of borrowing, and then buying gold. I think that played into it as well. So a bit of both at the end of the day.
All right. Well, Craig, let's get into some of the news, company news that came out of the JSE today. Capitec, of course, a bank that is well loved by investors. Interim results there, headline earnings surging 36%. I do understand that there was a base effect concerning impairments in the prior period, but investors seem to like what they saw anyway, with that stock up more than 2% at some point. Does the juice keep flowing here?
It's starting to look a little rich, but the story is still very positive. As you say, the earnings were in line with guidance generally, but their operating performance was pretty good. I think that was ahead of expectations. The pre-provision operating profits were up 16%. So I think across all the metrics that you would look at for a banking group, cost to income ratio, return on equity, everything went in the right direction. This share has come from 2,600 Rand, at the beginning of July, and we were just shy of 3,100 today. So it's run quite hard. It's got a price to book somewhere north of 7 times. So it looks a little bit stretched in the short term, but I think the underlying story is still very positive. And I think the results today would probably lead to some modest improvements in earnings expectations for the full year.
Talking about stories, Advotech has an expansion story for us. They have acquired a building in Sandton where they'll create a new university campus. So what have you made of this specific move in its expansion drive?
Yeah, I think it really is a prime location. I think they're there on Catherine Street. So just being in Sandton, not very far away from the skyscrapers there at all, and giving them a lot of extra space to expand that tertiary university. So I think a good deal. I think overall, one just looks at property in Sandton, or property in general, and one wants to put bums on seats in any way, shape, or form that we can, full empty spaces, and make the most use of that real estate. So I think probably win all the way around there.
All right. Well, talking about wins, Craig, let's get to your stock pick for today. What are you placing your bets on?
I like the luxury space, and we kind of own LVMH in our portfolios, but definitely been eyeing Hermes as the jewel in the crown to add to the portfolio. So that would be my stock pick. But I think it does come with a little bit of a caveat. I think after the Chinese stimulus that we saw, the luxury stocks did run hard, and I think it really just boosted sentiment in the short term, and we could probably see those prices pulling back again. So, in any kind of weakness, and I would expect some kind of weakness in the days and weeks ahead to come back. In the lack of any further immediate stimulus, and that's when I'd be looking to pick up Hermes, even LVMH if you don't have it.
Okay.
But the real jewel in the crown, I think, for a longer-term investment portfolio is definitely Hermes.
Yeah. You can have the stock and I'll have the bag, Craig.
You can have the bag.
Yeah.
It costs a whole lot more than the stock.
Well, thank you so much for your time. That was Craig Pheiffer from Sasfin Wealth.